The best or nothing.
That is the best or nothing? That's Mercedes quality? On an S-Class for over $100,000? No way.
Welcome to Hoovie's Garage, the dumbest automotive channel in all of YouTube. And as a lifelong Mercedes fan, when I found out that the latest electric EQS had depreciated to absolutely insane levels, I knew I had to try one out. So I sold off my 2023 Cadillac Lyriq, $34,000, and used all that money to buy this 2022 Mercedes EQS that had an MSRP of over $118,000 when new, and just 3 years later is depreciated over $80,000. These have been an absolute sales disaster for Mercedes, and honestly, I didn't understand why until now that I've looked at one up close and experienced it for the very first time. And the big issue is, it's not just the looks. This thing is so far and away from what Mercedes is famous for, and that was building the best or nothing. So things really started going wrong with Mercedes in 2019 when the previous CEO left, Dieter Zetsche, and he'd been with the company for 40 years. Came on board in the 1970s when they're developing this, and basically kept with that theme with Mercedes through the decades. The best or nothing. When he became CEO, it was more of the same. And the last generation of S-Class under his tutelage, some would say it wasn't as good as this from the 1980s, the 126 chassis, but it still was every bit of Mercedes and still a class leader. Back then, they were innovating. Every new generation of Mercedes had huge mechanical leaps forward that the rest of the world was just put in its place. Mercedes was on top when it came to innovation, when it came to class, when it came to styling, when it came to quality, and it's very easy to see with this car. But then you go to after 2019 and Mercedes sort of feels like it's being left in the dust. Stock prices on electric cars, the speculation is just absolutely crazy, where Tesla is worth $100 billion more than Mercedes. And even Lucid, at their market cap when they first came out in 2021, it was higher than Mercedes, or very, very close. So the new CEO, Olin Kalanis, saw all this and decided, well, we're going to build our own Tesla and Lucid beater ourselves. And we're going to develop a whole new line of cars called the EQ line, and this EQS was the flagship. They also had the E-Class version of it called the EQE, along with SUVs on the EQE and the S, as well as a Maybach variant, and that one topped out at $200,000. They unveiled it in 2021 for the 22 model year, and sales were a giant thud. The response was universally hated because of its jelly bean Toyota Prius type looks. And they said, well, it looks like this because of the enormously low drag coefficient to make it the most efficient, innovative EV ever. And that's not the case, because the Lucid actually has a slightly smaller drag coefficient, I think 0.021 versus 0.22 with the Mercedes, and it looks a whole lot better than this. But I can definitely get past the looks if the quality is pretty good. Still, I'm not paying $118,000 for it. I would buy an S-Class any day of the week, and that is what everybody did. In 2022, they sold 23,000 of these EQSs. Not good, but not bad. But then in 2023, that went down to 14,000. 1 year into your all-new flagship model, and sales go down dramatically, and that's because the secret was already out. The depreciation on these things, absolutely unbelievable. So if you had bought a 2022 Mercedes S-Class, normal S-Class, say like a 450 or a 550, whatever they are now, today it would be worth about $60,000 or $70,000. The exact same price on the EQS, the price is $30,000 to $40,000, and they are everywhere for that price. This one, only 23,000 miles on the odometer. I bought it directly from Mercedes-Benz Financial after it was leased, and there is one scrape along the bottom here that needs to be fixed, but not bad. Still, it's not like a salvage title car. It's not an accident Carfax or any of that kind of stuff. It's a clean Carfax car. That's just the going rate when it comes to depreciation. And with electric cars, it's bad, but with the EQS, it is a whole nother level. So compare this to the Nissan Leaf. In 1 year, that's 45% depreciation. With the EQS, it was 47%. Normal S-Class, like I said, 31% in the first year, not as bad. Alfa Romeo Stelvio, that's known for horrible depreciation. Those SUVs, that's only 32%. Kia EV6, another EV, 33%. So the worst depreciating cars in the low 30s in the first year. The Mercedes EQS, 47.8%, so almost half. And on paper, the reason is this doesn't have the same range as a Tesla Model S. And with EV buyers, all they brag about is their range, how far they can go on their battery, and how fast it can accelerate. And Mercedes wasn't that great on either. 5.9 seconds, 0 to 60, not bad, but a Model S Plaid was cheaper and could do 2 seconds, had a 1,000 horsepower tri-motor. Yeah, and the range around 400 miles, but Tesla with their long range could do much, much better for half the price. But then there's the quality, and that is the big issue with this thing, in my opinion. And I'll compare it to the 1980s with Mercedes. Here's this bank vault of a door right here, and here is the door handle. I'm pulling on it as hard as I can. It is really solid, no creak, no rattle. And this is on a car from the 1980s, a 1985 with 40,000 miles. Now the EQS. Maybe, okay, they had to do the Tesla door handles. But here is the pull handle on a Mercedes EQS. Every time you close the door, you get to hear this. That is the best or nothing. That's Mercedes quality. On an S-Class for over $100,000? No, no way. So then you go back to the old Mercedes, get in, close the door. Once again, that bank vault feeling. And look at the door gap, the edges right here. And then we get to the door, and I cannot put my finger really that deep into the door. All very uniform, up and down. But now let's go to the EQS. Take a look at this door panel. I am sticking my fingers all the way basically to the metal. If you could see all the way to the door, you can actually see a clip for a door panel, I think, and some paint from the actual door metal itself. And it's not uniform, so it gets tighter as you go down. So this gap is absolutely terrible. It's something Tesla is famous for. So Mercedes did do a good job of copying Tesla in the way of their horrible gaps. But before we get into things, ever since I finished Huvi's Garage 3.0, I've been having a growing existential crisis in my head thinking, what's next? What's next for me and the channel? I know all of us have struggled at some point with maximizing our own potential, and in my case, YouTube has changed a lot since I started doing this. And I'm not going to be the guy to go to the next level by blowing up $1 million car for views, or buying $1 million car that was blown up for views, or being able to fabricate swapping a jet engine from an F-15 into a Bugatti for views. It feels like financially ruining yourself is the only way to have a huge car YouTube channel these days, and I worry about being able to keep up. Finding out the next thing for me and the channel, it's been gnawing at me. And if you feel like you're stuck in a rut or don't know what to do next, sort of like me, this is where a certified career coach can help you bring new insights and help you bounce ideas around that you really never thought of. I recently did this for the first time with the sponsor of today's video, Strawberry.me, who matched me with Jamie, a master certified coach with over 5 years experience in arts, entertainment, and media, startups and entrepreneurship, and technology. So a total pro right in my field who understands it all, and that first session opened a lot of doors in my head. For example, I need to get more involved with my audience, with you, and find out what exactly you all are looking for, whether it be a type of content or a product. We also started digging into why I feel this need to chase the next big thing, and run through a few what ifs if things go in different directions. So I strongly recommend that you check out their website. Go to strawberry.me/HuviesGarage, which is linked below. And after answering a few questions, they will quickly match you with a certified career coach that best matches your field and goals. And if you use the code HuviesGarage at sign up, you receive a $50 credit to get started. So check it out, link below, and use that promo code HuviesGarage. And as I said earlier, I can get past the jelly bean shape. I don't mind it personally. Nice that it's a hatchback, just like a Tesla Model S. I think it looks fine. Mercedes says it's about a decade ahead of its time, and that's the reason why these have sold so terribly. I don't think that's the case. Obviously, all the other issues I pointed out. The wheels are very cool. In the Maybach version, which was almost $100,000 more, these would all be Maybach logos, but this one has little Mercedes crests everywhere in the aero disc wheels. And a Mercedes, in an effort to address the critics, decided to redesign the EQS with a totally different grille. So now you can get a grille similar to this old Mercedes with fake chrome strips and sort of making it look like it has a radiator behind it, but not. And then they put a hood star to make it seem more like an S-Class. And I guarantee you that's not going to sell any more cars. And with the EQS, there's no frunk and there's no obvious hood release either to see all the mechanical bits inside of here. You can get in for sure, but they really don't want you to. So badly that they decided to spoil the body lines with this right here. This isn't the charging port. This is where you would refill your windshield washer bottle. So it pops out and you pour it in, and they did all of this to a quarter panel just so you could do that. It makes absolutely no sense. The charge port, like you would normally see in a vehicle that you'd fill up at the gas station, but obviously a normal plug in there. So my first look at this car was kind of disappointing. This was the spec that I wanted. I wanted the blue, and I wanted these fancy wheels, and I wanted this nautical wood interior, which was like a $4,000 option. I did not want the goofy hyperscreen that they advertised and were bragging all about. That was 55 inches all the way across, and really it's just one piece of plexiglass and then 3 different screens for who knows what reason. It terrifies me to even look at it, let alone own the thing. So this is all much more simple. When I go and close the door, and after I hear that, very disappointed with that. And it's not just that door, it's all the doors. So even the doors that don't get used very much have that creak to it. But I do love the dashboard. I like this sort of suede feeling up here, the way the vents are as well. It is very, very pretty. And the startup noise is certainly very cool. And the turn off noise. I probably did this 10 times when I first got it because it sounded so neat. So yeah, 23,000 miles on the odometer, 338 miles on a little over 3/4 of a charge right now. And yeah, everything else pretty standard Mercedes looking stuff in here, which, you know, all the S-Class bits you would get as far as the steering wheel, the controls, and all that stuff. The mood lighting is very neat, as you can see all the way through this thing. I think this is called Bahama Rose or Miami Rose, something like that. April picked it out since this is going to be her driver. The Lyriq was before. And when I started driving this thing, well, the first thing I felt was relief. I was relieved. The thing does make very, very cool spaceship noises when you're driving it as well. So the gimmick part of it is fun. Oh, look, the podcast boys are here. Elliot!
Look at the shape of this thing. This is a shape I can't resist. Look at this.
As the Prius owner is fawning over... Hey, Rob.
Did you really buy this?
Oh yeah.
This thing is beautiful.
Here, hop in, hop in.
Oh, I'm getting the...
I'll let you all try out the massage. Go ahead and turn it on.
Okay. Door handle's a little loose there.
Yeah.
Oh, mine's too.
So,
What is going on here? Okay.
anyway, go into comfort.
Okay.
And I want your unbiased opinion of this massage. We're gonna do the deep workout. And I've never experienced a massager like this before.
Okay. I'm ready.
It is, yeah.
Okay.
So it has the waves,
Oh.
the pep, but then also it buzzes, it vibrates as well.
Oh, I feel it right in my grundle.
It just got me right in
And that's the thing, it vibrates you right where you...
Whoa.
I feel like
I
I'm
don't
sitting
wanna-
on a really nice Sibian.
No,
Really?
Sibian? I don't know what that is, but no. Oh my God.
This is just what I need after a deep workout.
I don't know that I want to drive with this thing going off. Like, if I was a woman, I certainly
I mean, I know, that's why
I know.
90% women buyers on this car after
Oh.
the test drive,
Oh.
like they close to me.
Yeah, I was saying, just hit that button.
But I've never encountered a car that also like massages and vibrates
Oh, whoa.
right in your private parts.
No, yeah, it's right in the plums area.
It's
And
very
it is-
personal.
Yeah.
Very
I mean,
personal.
I've driven massaging cars before. Nothing like this.
Right.
Okay.
But
Something.
I
yeah,
might need a minute.
the exterior is yeah, definitely
Oh, that's
something Prius owners would love. But the interior pretty nice.
It's a nice place to be.
It is a nice place to be. Look at this. It's like the wood paneling. I mean, still.
These integrated
that's
vents
great.
are very pretty.
I do like that.
Mhm.
I mean, like
Yeah.
I said, the screen
Very-
is just enough. I mean,
So
love this thing.
It's futuristic.
$118,000 new.
Okay.
That's a lot.
Bought it for $34,000. I traded straight across
Oh my-
basically for the Lyric. That's the depreciation. Mercedes is canceling this line entirely, the whole EQ line, because it's been such a horrible failure for them sales-wise.
Yeah, with numbers like that, that's no surprise. That's atrocious. But what a purchase at that price!
I know.
This is a hell of a car.
I know.
My crotch is vibrating.
I had to buy Mercedes' biggest failure, and I can come out and get a bunghole massage every single day.
Literally, it's literally. I mean, I can feel it up in the crevice.
It's doing this and then vibrating.
It is. I mean, I'm not joking.
I feel like I'm
can-
sitting on a Sonic Air.
It actually starts in the back and it's pushing through the front. How does it do that?
All right, well, go inside, get started on the podcast. I'm going to drive this thing, and then
how can you-
it's.
I don't know if I'm going to be able to focus after this.
I need a cigarette.
Yep, if I make any odd groans or noises, you'll know why, but I won't groan with excitement on the acceleration. It's okay. It makes fun spaceship noises with a combination of a little bit of an engine noise, so I like that, but it is not quick. It's the same acceleration as the Cadillac Lyric, but the interior, yeah, it is way nicer than the Cadillac Lyric, although that's a low bar. If you compare it to any Mercedes S-Class built in the last 15 years, or say a Lucid, it's absolutely embarrassing that they got away with this. Now I like that the heated and AC buttons are still on the door, manual buttons for the memory settings, some manual buttons down here, and the infotainment is very intuitive, so I like that. Also, the self-driving is much better than the Cadillac, as you can do it anywhere and it sort of steers itself, but not the same as the Tesla, where the Tesla pretty much drives itself. Will pull into your driveway and just park the car while you're basically sitting there doing nothing. So a step behind there when it comes to Tesla. But where they mercifully nailed it is in the road feel of this car. As far as the ride feeling, the comfort, the quietness, this does feel like a Mercedes S-Class. It does feel very high quality and very nice. So if you can look past some funky gaps and materials, this does feel like a very, very nice car. And that is why I am not disappointed overall. If I bought this for $118,000 and they told me a year later it was going to be worth $50,000, and then a year after that it's going to be worth $35,000, I would be furious. But as the guy who still bought it with a warranty, over a year left in the warranty, with only 23,000 miles for $34,000, this is an absolute steal. It's basically mid-level Camry money, and you get a Mercedes S-Class in electric form. And I know you're saying, well, the battery. Well, the battery has a 10-year warranty on it, so I don't have to worry about the battery for a very long time. And since it's a pretty simple single drive motor unit, there's not a lot to go wrong with the powertrain. It's going to be in all of these electronics and doodads and stuff, and I imagine that could be a big issue, but like a lot of electric cars, it's probably stuff that can be fixed with software, programmed out. Rarely with this modern stuff does like a screen or a module fail. It's usually like some kind of bug that can be programmed away versus like a mechanic actually fixing it. So I would hazard a guess that this would be pretty reliable to own from now and then probably the next 3 to 5 years before things really start taking a dump. But I could most certainly be wrong. In addition, I don't feel like this thing will depreciate 70% of its value again in the next couple of years. So not the worst buy in that sense as well. It's already less than the average price of a used car, and it's an electric S-Class. So as far as a used car purchase goes, I don't think it's that bad. You get a fancy massaging seat car with a fragrance container that can spray stuff out at you and a warranty, so it could be worse. But here's the problem. I have the comparison right here from 40 years earlier. Thanks to my buddy Euroasian Bob, has this 42,000 mile 500 SEL for sale for $30,000. It's the nicest one that I've driven in the last 15 plus years, and there's no comparison as far as the feeling of quality. And yeah, the leather's a little bit creaky because it's real leather, real springs and all that stuff, so very comfortable as well. But you just look out on that long hood and that 3-pointed star and it feels way more special. So yeah, the EQS rides similar, has similar sort of road feeling, but that deep feeling in your soul, it doesn't have it. I'm not sure if it's a car that I could ever bond with. Do I like it? Yeah. Will I fall in love with it? like a car like this? Never. There's just no way. Thank you so much for watching.